Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Double Shot of Penguins. I'm Dejan Kovacevic. She's Taylor Haas up in Ottawa, where the Penguins are preparing to take on the Senators and maybe not blow some massive lead, maybe win a game. Maybe that's how this one will turn out. It's now 6 in a row the Penguins have lost. If you're particular about that sort of thing, it's 0-2-4. The Senators aren't that great of a team in general. Taylor, what's it going to take? What's the mindset up there right now?
I mean, everyone seems to have a positive attitude. Something they talked about after the last loss is like it doesn't do them any good to mope. Moping, being miserable, that's not going to get them out of this. It's a fresh start coming on the road. They needed to get out of that homestand, and it is the dad's trip. So I feel like that always adds an extra boost. So it's good vibes. What is it going to take? A whole lot. Closing out the third period is obviously the biggest one, and it's hard to say how they do that. If it were that easy, they would have done it by now. But
that's right. It's funny, the dad's trips in general, and I've made a few of them myself, including the one last season. There is something about the way they play in front of the dads. It's not a cliche. It's not. You're going to hear about it, by the way, tonight on the broadcast like 100 times. It's going to be nauseating. I don't mean to be that guy, but it's just dad's this, dad's that, dad's this, dad's that. But the impact on the people who matter is relevant, and the players on the ice are aware of it. The dads are in the locker room before the game. Dads are in the locker room after the game. At least that's how it was under Mike Sullivan. They want the players to be aware that dad is there watching, and that dad is probably, or mom, as the case at times in a child's youth, are going to be more aware of if you're doing the right things on the hockey rink as opposed to, cheating out by the red line, waiting for the breakaway pass. There's a responsibility to it, isn't there, Taylor? That plus the fact that they're on the road.
Yeah, I think the vibes are just so good. It's less about the responsibility, but more just it's just a lighter mood than we've seen in a while with them here. Some guys have their brothers here. Father-in-law, I think uncles, it's a mix. Not everyone has someone here. I don't think Skinner has someone here. It's very last minute for him. She loves neither the goalies do, but almost everyone has someone here. So it's just a huge boost.
And what you need out of this team right now, man, this is a broken record, and I apologize for it in advance. Taylor, you and I covered that game at Madison Square Garden. You saw what they looked like that night. It was smothering. Everywhere there was a blue shirt, there were 2 white shirts. They also got they got in general good play from Artur Shilovs. They got some big goals from some of their main guys. When you see how they are when they're on, it's in all 3 zones. That's something that Dan Muse talked about over the weekend. It's not something that is circumstantial. He's not dialing it up at certain points of the game. He wants them to play a certain way in all 3 zones, regardless of the score. And that, to me, is what that harkens to, is that game at Madison Square Garden, plus a handful of other games that they've had, or 59 minutes of other games that they've had. Think about the most recent Anaheim game, the 0.01 seconds. They had 91 shot attempts against the Ducks. 91 shot attempts in 60 minutes. Don't make me throw the math at you, everybody, but that's 1.5 shot attempts per minute. That's insane. That does not happen in the NHL. They have a way that they can do this and do this right. And Sid has struck me more than anybody, Taylor, as being the one who has stayed positive and focused on that. Have you gotten that sense from him that he's saying, listen, we know what we've done to get these leads. We just need to finish it off.
I mean, it's really all of their leaders. Him, Russ in particular. It seems like Russ has talked after every loss now. But yeah, Sid, he's been stressing the positives. Russ has. They know what it takes to do it, and we've seen it a lot even over this losing stretch. It's just, can they do that for 60 minutes?
And we really mean 60 minutes when we say it, and not 59.9. Okay.
Yeah.
60 means 60. It doesn't mean more than 60 because we've utterly given up on anything that happens past regulation. That's take the point and go home. I'm looking at some of the comments here. C. Rugger's making fun of me for taking you to the church of that first game, but it was real. It was there, and it had other sequels to it.
Well, yeah, but the Rangers also had sequels to that themselves that show that they were a part of the Penguins looking so good in that game was that the Rangers were just really bad to start the season, especially. I mean, how long did they go without even scoring at home?
Scoring at home. They were terrible at home.
So I don't know if I'd keep going back to that when...
Well, you could also say that the Penguins were the one that put them on that track. I mean, you know what I mean? I don't care about the Rangers one way or another. I'm sure you don't either. This team needs to play a more thorough game in all three zones, and that applies to everybody here. That's right. Comes through with the ultimate conclusion. Stop playing the old dudes. All right. Well, we're scratching Sid tonight then, because
I mean, if you mean Letang, just say Letang. But
okay, so he did.
Yeah. Okay, that includes Letang. I think at this point we're really mostly talking about Letang, like at Ford.
No,
maybe
he really is reinforcing this point.
In an ideal situation, maybe Kevin Hayes is not in the lineup, Danton Heinen, but when the Penguins are healthy, I don't think those guys are in anyway. They're missing how many forwards? Letang, could benefit from load management, but they're also trying to figure out who should be in the lineup otherwise right now with St. Ivany in the mix. Now you have Kulak in the mix, so it's kind of hard. At first, I'd want to see Letang with another partner. He's been with Shea the entire time. I think in an ideal world, Shea is not your second pairing defenseman.
Shea's been good though, and it's like
the pairing has not.
No, it has not. But there's always a discussion whenever they try to analyze pairings, defense pairings. Now, who's dragging who down, or who's lifting up the other guy. It's not always an easy breakdown for those things. One thing I had made a note of myself here that I wanted to ask you about today is I feel like it kind of got glossed over with Brett Kulak's arrival and then putting Jack St. Ivany in, is that Connor Clifton and Ryan Graves didn't exactly play their way out of the lineup.
Their last two games weren't great, but as a whole, I mean, you even taking into account those two underwhelming games towards the end, if you look at any on ice individual stat, anything advanced, they are your best pairing all season, and they're not getting shelter. They get the fewest offensive zone starts, the most defensive zone starts of any pairing, and they're out of the lineup. I understand you got to get Kulak in. I understand wanting to get St. Ivany in before you just send him down to Wilkes-Barre.
Right.
Maybe I would have tried Kulak with Letang first, just because when they got Kulak, both Muse and
Chris, the producer here today, is totally into that concept, Taylor. As soon as you said it, he just went like this.
Yeah, Letang needs...
He doesn't have a microphone. He's not allowed to talk.
Letang needs to be more responsible, but also when they bring Kulak in, both Dubas and Muse are stressing about how steady he is, how reliable he is, so... Letang is going to take risks. He's an offensive defenseman. Put him with a defenseman who is maybe known for being more reliable. See how that works. And then, it's not fair to take Shea out, but leave Graves and Clifton together. Try Kulak with Letang, and then move on from there.
See, everything that we're talking about here is some kind of compensation for the way Letang is playing right now, and there is a Letang problem. I am not one to lightly dump on the player that I consider to be the greatest defenseman in franchise history. Not to mention just an incredible human and courage beyond belief with the stuff that he's played through in his life. So I don't do this sort of thing for sport. But Nathan here says Letang should be in the press box for several games minimum. Shea is not responsible for Letang playing the way that he is. One of the concepts that I think is going to come up at some point in the National Hockey League, and really hasn't yet, is the idea of load management for older players. Now, the Penguins, of course, conspicuously brought up load management this season, but at the opposite end of the spectrum. They did it with Ben Kindle. They did it with Harrison Brunick. For all we know, they're still going to have Kindle under some kind of, you could see him be a healthy scratch this game or that game, or avoid back-to-backs, or maybe they just play him through the Christmas break. Who knows? But they don't do that with the older guys. They don't even have that conversation. That's a hockey thing. You've seen it happen in the NBA. It happens to a degree in Major League Baseball. And, of course, football is a completely different thing with only 20 games, 17 in the regular season. I'd love to see it come up. I really would. I think there's a respectful way to have that dialogue. I think there's a way to approach him and say, hey, listen, Tanger, there's how many games left in the season? 48, something like that, 48 or 49?
Something like that, yeah.
Just say, listen, we feel that you'd be a lot better player if we picked 8 games out of this and just took them out in advance. And then couple that with the Christmas break, with the Olympic break, and work within that as well. And just say, this isn't, because we saw Chris Letang was okay early in the season. There was nothing wrong with his game. There was one home game. I'm not going to remember the opponent. I thought he was the best player on the ice. He was physical. He was knocking people over. He was angry Tanger. But this guy, he's trying to compensate for mistakes. Taylor, he used to be able to do that. He used to be able to make any mistake he wanted and be able to still skate back. And that's not the case anymore. I
don't know. I mean, some of the mistakes are he's putting the puck right on like the stick of an opponent, or like there's no making up for that. So I mean, I think most of his issues are mental and not so much him wearing down. I mean, Letang, like the shape he's in is incredible. He trains harder than a lot of the younger guys, it seems. I don't think it's entirely a matter of him wearing down or just needing a rest, but I think he could just benefit from a different partner, not to knock on Shea, but someone who is more responsible, because he's always going to he's always been a risky player. That's just who he is. Part of the problem is he's also not doing enough offensively to make up for those risks right now that we've seen in the past.
Yeah, Mass agrees with you here and says that problem is it's mental errors, not physical. To me, and to hear some athletes, is not everybody would agree with this. It's not a universal position, but that the being fatigued also leads to mental fatigue, and you start doing some things that you wouldn't normally do out there. I don't know. I don't want to isolate things on Letang as if this six games in a row with losses are all on him. But if he's a problem, instead of punishing Ryan Shea or Ryan Graves or Connor Clifton or whatever else, figure out who your best 6 are and go have a talk. Because you've got a lot of years with Letang. What is it? What's he have left? 2 more on the top of this?
Yeah.
Something like that, right?
Something like that.
You're going to have to find a way to make that work. You're going to have to find a way to make that work for the Penguins. You're going to have to find a way to make it work for the player. You're going to have to find a way to make it work for the entire defense corps. He's gonna be a part of this. He's not going anywhere. For anybody who missed it earlier in the week, we're excited to introduce the Mo Value Meal at our friends at Mo's, participating locations across Southwest Pennsylvania. There comes Chris with the obligatory. I walked by there today. I had to pick up something, and you could hear it. This is at Market Square over here. You could just hear, welcome to Mo's, as soon as you come in, and then the multiple echoes, and some people yell it back. What comes in this Mo's Value Meal, which, by the way, is just $9.95. So hear the price first, and then hear the rest of it. A Mo's Junior Burrito, 10 inches of pure flavor, 2 ounces of Mo's famous queso, and a regular drink. That's just for $9.95. You can just walk in there, they greet you, get your Mo's Value Meal, and head on out of there. They're also really fast, really efficient, clean. It's just a good experience overall. Are you hitting sound effects? Oh, that was you? Oh, okay. Sounded like a horse was galloping. Was that you over there in Ottawa? Oh, okay. The strangest sound. Like a horse was galloping or something. Don't start. She did that yesterday. No. Brian says that Letang is trying to be his old self. He needs to accept where he is and focus on the things that he does well. He's been at this a long time, guys. He's not going to change his game. He's just not. And I don't know that he needs to if he's rested. That's kind of my point here. Tough Spec says that pride is the hardest thing to overcome. And we've seen that with others here. We saw it with Pascal Dupuis. You want to talk, Taylor, about somebody who was training like crazy. Chris Kunitz, as he was winding down here, it was tough to watch. Tough to watch at times, but it happens to everybody except Sid. It just does. It does not happen to Sid. Although Sid hasn't been at his best in these last few games either.
No.
Al's a little rough on him. Says that he's quit on more plays in the last week than he quit. He's Sidney Crosby. We can do without dialogue like that. Orem here brings up a great point. Says that the Penguins are really missing Evgeny Malkin, Blake Lizotte, and not to be forgotten, Philip Hollander. How is everybody coming along? Are they all anybody? Nobody's on the trip, right?
Nobody's on the. Lizotte might be just because his brother's here.
It'd be weird to have his brother there and not him. So.
Well, no, I mean I haven't seen his brother here, but I saw his brother in the press box last game. So I don't know if he's here just for that. Gino, all of them are skating. Hard to say how far. Like no one's skated with the group yet. How under. Going to be out till February. Just with
that's unconditional. And Hollanders,
yeah.
The blood clots. You're on 3 months of blood thinners. You're not being an athlete here. We went through that with Pascal Dupuis.
Yes.
Second duper reference today.
He was at that last game, by the way.
Duper was.
Yeah,
no,
like in the stands. I think when they put him on the video board, that was like the loudest the crowd was all night, other than the Stu chants. But let's not a huge loss for the PK. And then like Malkin had been playing well before he went down. Like he really hasn't been slow. He seems like he's bounced back this season. He definitely slowed down for maybe the last 2 years there, but talking about like older players, he had been looking good. So all three of those guys are huge losses at forward. And then like people are complaining about like, oh, why is Dejan Heinen in the lineup? Why is Kevin Hayes in the lineup? If two of those guys are healthy, some of those guys aren't in the lineup.
Yeah, and we could drop a completely healthy Pittsburgh lineup, and I think it would be to a lot more people's satisfaction than what we're seeing right now. And I know that every time we look off the current radar in Pittsburgh and see who's in Wilkes-Barre, who's playing well, who you might want to have up, who might be able to make more of a difference, for example, in taking the place of, let's say, Lizotte, I keep thinking about Tristan Brose. I don't know what he did to tick them off in the one game that he was allowed to play. And then he was scratched the next two, and then it was get out of here. I mean, he was treated like Sam Poulin. Meaning, like, they just look at him and say no.
Yeah, I mean, like, talking about recalls, though, like, it's not a good sign that he was getting outplayed by Dejan Heinen at the AHL level. It was, one game for Bros, like, not great. Also, like, if you look at, like, any of their, like, advanced, like, on-ice metrics for any of the forwards, Bros is at the bottom of everything. Like the little time he did have, like the good things were not happening when he was on the ice at all.
The game here, or you talk about down there? Because I don't think they have those metrics down there.
No, Bros is one game in the NHL. Like it was bad thing.
He had some. He was nervous and he had some adjusting to do and everything. I mean, he's a responsible defensive player. He's all about winning and all that other stuff. Yes. I don't know.
But even at this point, if I'm recalling anyone from Wilkes-Barre, I think it would be Phil Tomasino. He's played 9 games. Right. He has 9 games down there, points in every game. Longest point streak of his career anywhere. I think it's 4 goals, 9 assists in that span.
That's the thing that's jumped out about Tomasino down there, and looking at their video highlights on a regular basis, the plays that he's making. Here, when he was here, it seemed like it was either finish or nothing. And you're seeing the passes that he's making to set up other guys for empty netters. On a lot of goals on rushes, which you've always expected from him. I mean, I'll bet he's tired of riding buses,
Yeah.
But then
you're my first
centers. You're missing centers, so that's another thing.
He's been playing center down there. Part of that is like he wants that to be an option for him when he does come up here. So That's a hard adjustment going from center in the AHL to the NHL, but that's something that could be in his toolkit if he does come back up.
Matthew Bunk asks, how does the Penguins' new owner take over the rights to Sportsnet Pittsburgh? The first thing to say to that, Matt, is the Penguins do not have a new owner. The process that has to be that's still ahead has always been known to be the hardest part. I don't know that the Hoffman family of companies is going to clear the NHL Board of Governors. This is not some rubber stamp. Everything that I've been told, including yesterday, is that the Gary Bettman and Bill Daly both are skeptical of this group's wherewithal to be able to withstand losses. I don't want to get too technical on everybody here with how this works, but just think of the Coyotes. You don't want a team that's sitting there and drowning in debt and has to go to the league for loans and stuff like that. You definitely don't want that to be the Penguins, meaning from a Pittsburgh perspective. The one thing you know about the Fenway Sports Group is they've got cash. They got lots and lots and lots of cash. So this isn't done. They don't have a new owner. There's no owner until there's Board of Governors. And that is not done.
Like, people are talking about, like, oh, they did such a good job with the Florida Everblades. The amount of money, no, like the amount of money it takes to be like a good ECHL, like well-run ECHL team over like a poorly or like a cheap one. It's like very minuscule compared to what it takes to run an NHL team. We're talking about, like, do they fly to games or do they bus to games? And like, yeah, that adds up, but we're talking about millions of dollars in the NHL. Because I mean, Fenway, people complained about them being faceless. They did have people around. John Henry talks with, Dubas on a regular basis. The people, the execs that were around were available for off the record chats every now and then with reporters. But I mean, from an ownership, don't you want someone who's hands off and just kind of gives the GM, president of hockey ops, a blank check? Because that's what they did. Dubas had free reign to spend to the cap. He has free reign
or not.
I mean, he said he has free reign right now. Right. But yeah. I don't think that's an ownership directive. I mean, they've said as long as they're here, Dubas can spend to the cap. They have said that. Dubas has said he can spend to the cap. I just think what Dubas has been saying is like they intentionally didn't go after those big money deals in the offseason because they didn't want to be locked into long-term contracts when they're still figuring everything out. So I think that's his call. But as far as, he has blank check to hire whoever he sees fit for hockey ops. And they've really built out so many different areas of hockey ops under Fenway. So I don't understand like a lot of the Fenway hate.
The thing that you actually asked, Matt, about Sportsnet Pittsburgh, that's a complicated arrangement that now involves not one, but two Major League professional sports franchises, meaning the Penguins and also the Pirates in parentheses. That is a really complicated thing, but it's a contract unto itself. When you buy any company, you buy all of their deals. So nothing happens to the TV arrangement. It's a signed contract by the Pittsburgh Penguins, regardless of who owns them. So yes, Fenway has something to do with Nesson, which has provided a lot of the personnel and the equipment and everything else into this, but none of that changes. I guarantee you they looked into all of that stuff before any agreement was reached with the Pittsburgh Penguins, let alone the Pirates coming aboard. So yeah, nothing yet. Okay, that's the correct way to look at this. There's nothing yet to talk about. We're gonna sign off for today, but not before we accept $20 Canadian. Appreciate that from Ginger Rage, who says, no question, just thanks for the great hockey coverage in Canada, being at the mercy of the national media, which is to say the Toronto media. That makes me really appreciative to have access to local team coverage. Happy holidays. The same back to you up there. You like Ottawa, don't you?
Me?
Yeah.
I've never been to Ottawa. I've only been to Canada.
You told me that. You've never even been in there.
The Senators don't play in Ottawa, so...
Yeah, people need to understand how far the Senators are from Ottawa.
I don't know.
It is beautiful. What is your itinerary tomorrow? You have a car, right? You have a car up there.
The Penguins practice in Montreal tomorrow.
So you have to go straight to, it's in
Yep.
Brossard, Quebec.
Yep, 11:30
You're
in the
still
morning.
not going to see Ottawa. Ottawa's beautiful. People, go see Ottawa. You will not believe that it's in North America. It's just an amazing European style place. That's just, yeah, it's great. Montreal's not so bad either. You have done Montreal.
Montreal's one of my favorite road cities. Tampa, Dallas up there. I think favorite one I've been to is Halifax, though. So
You just got a thumbs up on Dallas from over here. The producer. The boss is heading to New York, by the way. That's where she is right now to pick up our children for Christmas. So we're all filling in. All right, Taylor. Well, Taylor's got your coverage tonight on the DK Pittsburgh Sports app. And we will be back with another double shot of Penguins tomorrow. And we're now, make sure you flip over to our YouTube Steelers channel to see what me and Chris have to say about that first place football team.